In today's episode, I want to unpack the formula for the way to aligned abundance. Part of this is going to be going deeper into what I mean when I talk about alignment and abundance, because these are terms that have become very overused and watered down. And I'm going to outline and explore the three realms that you need to be tuned into simultaneously to complete the circuit of secure success. So let's dive in. Firstly, abundance. It's not just money, though money is absolutely a big component of it in the systems of this world and how we achieve and maintain it. It's more than that, though. It's made up of lots of different things, resources, seen and unseen, that we need as human beings on this planet having this human experience. So, whether that's money or the things that we buy with money, whether that's love and connection, or food, clean drinking water, shelter, and spacious environment to live in, there's so many basic and more nuanced things that we each need to feel fulfilled, to feel motivated, and to be able to sustain our presence to keep showing up to play the game. And the abundance principle around your relationship to these things, your access to these things, and your mindset around your positioning around these things is that we need and want, in order to feel like we're thriving, to have what we need when we need it and then some, and a marginal extra that we can then intentionally allocate toward our expansion and growth. In the case of money, it's having what you need when you need it to pay your bills, fulfill your responsibilities, buy what you need when you need it, and to have a little extra to be able to play with investing, and also ideally to have some to donate to some charitable cause so that you are spreading the wealth and paying it forward. And so part of it is just having and having access to these things. But another part is feeling really fulfilled and having a sense of serendipity and synchronicity around the trust that it's going to be there when you need it. So it's not just having a huge storehouse of money to know that you have enough for when you need it. It's also made up of those magical moments where you become aware of something that you need, you speak a prayer or make an ask around receiving that, and then some opportunity shows up for you where you end up receiving exactly that amount of money in a way that you didn't expect or weren't planning. So it's equal parts strategy and magic, I would say, in terms of fortifying our belief system and our sense of trust that the universe has our back, because such a big part of this abundance principle of having what you need when you need it, plus a little extra, it nurtures something in us, something that's able to relax and trust. And like I said, just have this feeling that like the universe has our back, not only for surviving and meeting those needs, but for thriving and having a little extra to work with, to give back, to pay it forward, and to invest in our future beyond just meeting the needs of the current moment. Worth taking a little detour here too to redefine investing. Investing also doesn't just have to do with money. Investing, I like to think of as a much broader term of anything, whether it's money or time or resources or energy, where we are choosing to defer and allocate it toward some future cause. So it's a delayed gratification. It's a willing to sacrifice in the moment to be able to feed the potential of a more expansive future. And when it comes to being aligned with abundance, I firmly believe that when we are living on purpose And so feeling that sense of alignment, choosing to do the inner work, to be motivated by the curiosity that helps us to find and connect with what really feels like ours, the kind of work in the world that really feels like it's part of our design to be able to show up and offer for specifically the people that we're designed to offer it to, is such a big part of what connects us with and taps that channel of abundance for us uniquely and individually. And let's be clear, when it comes to purpose, I really don't see that as some like destination, like you were put here to fulfill some specific cause. I don't think it works that way at all, because the clues that we're given are in our birth chart, are reflected in our birth chart, and are more like generalizations or thematics or more energetic arenas that we are designed to show up inside of. When it comes to like where we actually do that, we can look to the houses, right? There's a little bit more information there in terms of the one of 12 areas that we are designed to ground those energies into. But even so, when it comes down to the actual specifics of like what you do and how you do it, the more biographical details of what your work in the world is, that is something that is not in your birth chart. That is something that is part of our puzzle solving path to find things that will fit, essentially. So there are so many different ways that we can fulfill our sense of purpose. And that's why for a lot of us, we don't just do one thing our whole lives. The life or money mode people might be especially attracted to that. Once they find it, they'll stick with it. But most of the people that are my people to work with are either the serial monogamist or the polyamorous money mode people, where we're actually not at all designed to do one thing and go the distance with it. We would get bored if we did. And so we're more designed to constantly be finding different ways, different specific projects or jobs or opportunities for service that fit our unique design. So when it comes to channeling our abundance, it's not that there's some cryptic code available to unlock that one thing, and like, our whole lives are a quest to make mistakes and make our way through things that are, not it, until finally we find that glorious holy grail of the thing. No, I don't think it works that way at all. I see being aligned with your purpose as more of a path, a dynamic process, a commitment to constantly refining from moment to moment as the seasons change what that looks like for you, and to be open to saying yes to the opportunities that feel aligned as they present themselves to you. And sure, as we make our way forward on our path, as we become more mature in our manifestation, more disciplined and willing to really do the work to be able to show up for and say yes and embody whatever those things are, right? There's a certain exploration and totally valid cause and motivation, for example, in your first Saturn cycle until you go through your Saturn return, that's actually all about making mistakes, finding the things that don't work, failing forward, and really going through a maturation process that helps you to identify and commit to the things that do feel more like yours. So there's definitely a process through time of refining our lens and our knowing of what is ours and what isn't, what's going to feel more fulfilled and aligned for us. That's part of it. And also, there's skill sets and mastery that comes with the timeline moving forward and maturation that make us more capable of meeting what's ours. And there's challenge in the rites of passage that come and confront us to let go of what's not ours, that we may have become attached to, regardless of whether or not it's ultimately meant to stick with us for the long haul. Okay, so Being aligned with abundance is being on track with and in relationship with understanding our sense of purpose and continuing to lean into showing up more to say yes for the things that feel aligned, being willing and able to let go of the things that don't. And so now I want to go a little deeper too into what I mean when I say alignment, because this is also such a buzzword these days. And this is where astrology comes in a really big way, because we each have a unique design. I've been talking a lot already about that there are these kind of energetic motivations and then these life realms, as shown by the signs and the houses of the various planets, points, and luminaries in our chart, that creates this matrix of understanding of the complex beings that we are and the puzzle essentially that it is to feel aligned. Because it's not like we can constantly consciously be aware in any given moment of all of the different things, all of the different aspects of our chart that are going to make us feel aligned. That's also why so much of my work and my purpose on this planet is to help simplify your chart for you, especially as someone that is pursuing abundance as a self-employed earner. It can be really complicated. It's like, you know that there are codes there for you, but you're not an astrologer, so it's hard to, piece together and pull out exactly what would be helpful for you. My Virgo moon is very good at extracting those simple hacks or cheat codes or pieces that are worth becoming aware of and tuning into, so that it is a lot easier to hold in your conscious awareness as you move along day to day, or when you're planning the bigger picture strategies of your workflow and business path. It's super helpful to just simplify and distill down what are the things for me to keep in mind that are important to make sure that any decision that I make, any door that I walk through, anything that I choose is in alignment with multiple factors and things that matter, so that ultimately I'm going to have that kind of synthesized, or the actual experience is greater than the sum of the parts. Like, if enough of the parts of me are aligned and on board, and the needs of which are being considered in something that I choose or a decision that I make, overall, I'm going to feel this sense of alignment, this experience of fulfillment that comes from that alignment. So, for example, with me, it's really helpful, the very simplest, to look at your big three, the luminaries, your sun, moon, and rising, and checking in with yourself before you make any decision, or bringing your logical mind on board so that you are both intuitively feeling into, does this feel right? But also having the checks and balance of having that list of those three luminaries and like, okay, yes, it meets this part of me, this part of me, this part of me, like a checklist. So for example, for me with my sun with Aquarius, one way that I use that as a filter is if something doesn't feel like future facing or innovative or future proof, like if I can't see it contributing to the success of a client that I'm serving now and 20 years from now, as I imagine it, in terms of my understanding of where things are heading, then it's a no for me, because I know that part of what is going to feel fulfilling for me is to be on the cutting edge of the tech platforms, the tech tools, the principles of the Aquarian age. Like, of course, we could say that like everybody should do that. But for me, I'm not just talking about not becoming irrelevant. I'm talking about that if every step of the way that isn't taken into consideration, and that's not a felt sense and part of why I'm choosing what I'm choosing, it's going to feel off for me. So that's one check. Then with my Virgo moon, it's like, is this supporting the cause of me incrementally getting better and being able to iterate on whatever it is that I'm pouring my energy into, so that I'm going to be able to create better and better versions of it moving forward? Again, this is something that obviously is good practice and worth taking into consideration for absolutely anybody that's playing this game, right? But for me with my Virgo moon, that's something that I check into you. And, truth be told, it's not even something that I really have to think about quite in that way. It's just like a knowing, right? So these are mine, whatever yours are, it's just a felt sense. You're like, there's just something that kind of happens for you that's so familiar of that phenomenon of like check, check, check. For somebody alternatively, though, that has been stuck in a career or an embodiment that just doesn't feel like theirs at all, that is based on somebody else's values or, the corporate culture that they're in, like maybe they got used to that kind of internalized check, check, check phenomenon being based on the values of the company that they work for, instead of also having that navigation system where they're connected with their own checklist, their own listicle that they go check, check, check to as part of that kind of click, click, click of alignment of knowing something feels like theirs. And then my Scorpio rising, so much of what motivates me as well, that makes me know that something is on path and on track for me, is it helping me to deepen my understanding of the mysteries of the universe, right? Is it feeding my almost insatiable desire to know and understand and pull back the curtain on the more obvious or visible to see what's happening below the surface, what's more at the heart of the matter, right? Scorpio is all about that motivation to be like a detective and like constantly uncovering the secrets to the mystery of the universe, whether that's through the more macro of like fabric of reality or more micro with my own personal puzzle of my trauma map and my past struggles and how they guide me now to be able to uncover them so that I can transform myself and liberate more of the stored energy that I haven't had access to, right? That whole death and rebirth process, like the phoenix coming out of the ashes, that helps me to become more and more of myself. And those are the big three, right? That regardless, like any decision, business or otherwise, should be a part of everything that I choose. And if I think back to the things that have really felt aligned for me, some of the things that I've discovered and leaned into in my life where I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is so it for me. They all have the mark of those features in some way. And then there's the alignment when it comes to specifically my business and how I make my money. I mentioned the money modes. That's such a basic one to know about you through your chart of, are you a lifer? Are you a serial monogamist? Or are you a polyamorous when it comes to how you make your money? Because those are so vastly different in terms of the kinds of projects or companies or employers or offerings that are really going to feel aligned for us to continue to show up for. And this is where the abundance piece comes in. When you're doing and choosing and nurturing and creating and birthing offering into the world based on what's aligned for you, that's when you've brought that part one of your unique design online in the part three system of what channels abundance. Now for part two. Part two is that yes, you as the bridge of earth and sky, as the conduit that is designed to channel the unseen energies in a certain way and ground them into the game we're playing inside of. Part one is also having an awareness of those unseen energies that are creating a constantly shifting landscape in the unseen realms. And such a big part of why this is important is because we did not come here to stagnate and stay still. We came here to constantly learn and evolve and grow and change. And so while we have this static snapshot of a certain energetic matrix reflected in the sky, we are meant to then roll with the waves and continue to shift and grow and evolve through time based on the shifting landscape of the cosmic weather. And so this is where part two of the way of aligned abundance comes in, is also being aware, again, in a simplified way. You don't need to be tracking every transit that happens. That's for astrologers. And even as an astrologer, I don't do that. I live by the simplified version of the cosmic weather that I provide for you. And that's primarily through planetary ingresses, which is when a planet or luminary changes signs. That's the shifting between the different seasons or chapters of the story arc of each of those planets around the wheel. And then the lunar cycles and the phases that take us around that monthly wave of the rise and fall of the full moon back down to the new moon, and that pattern of creation that plays out over and over, of tuning into our visionary space, the unmanifest, and connecting with and setting our intentions into our growth game and tracking as it swells to the fullness of expression, and whatever tension for growth presents itself along the way as we make our way to that culmination that reveals so much to us and gives us so much information for the next iteration. And then we transition into the waning part of the cycle where we're able to reflect on that and become aware of what did work, what didn't work, and bring all of that information back home into that space of getting back to the drawing board with the new moon again and planning to intend for the next cycle. These are the two really biggies when it comes to the cosmic weather, is the bigger picture, longer game of these seasons and chapters that are unfolding as the planets and luminaries change signs, and then that more micro phase rhythm of the lunar cycles where we are able to more intimately connect with our intentions and our tracking of that cycle of growth and creation. That helps to break up our more endless time frame into these more manageable chunks that we can actually wrap our mind around, which also is such a big part of how we show ourselves that what we wish and desire and intend for matters and is met. And so helps to nurture both our confidence in our role in the co-creative process, but also our trust and amazement in the universe's role in that co-creative process and how we are met by it. So those are parts 1 and 2 that are the astrological side of the game of aligned abundance. So being tuned into and aligned with both your unique design that illuminates your sense of purpose and is your unique receiver and design for embodiment of these collective energies, these unseen forces that are animating our experience. It's like the waves that we're surfing that bring us the new opportunities, the new challenges that then we each in our unique way process and integrate into our experience. And this brings us to part 3, which is how we then ground that energy through us into this earth plane, this game that we are playing inside of. And there's 2 parts that I love to support people with to stay connected to the grounded earthly component of channeling your abundance, which is 1, the rules of the money game that we're playing in, and 2, the tech sphere that we are playing this game in. So when it comes to the money side of it, as you probably know, or unless you're new here, I was a tax preparer for 8 years. I grew up working in my dad's CPA office. I lived and breathed the money finance side of things until eventually connecting with my alternative community of game changers, paradigm shifters, self-employed money makers to help support them almost like a double agent to be able to play by the actual rules of the game to bust through the concrete ceiling that kept them from being able to channel more abundance. This often showed up as a fear of and resistance to being a part of the system, staying below the radar, charging by donation because they didn't have a actual like an intentional structure around how they charge for their services. They didn't have an understanding of basic money principles. I mean, you guys, if we're trying to benefit from the business game by being able to channel more abundance for ourselves, to be able to show up in bigger ways and make bigger impacts in this world and focus more fully on the service that we choose to incorporate into our business model, we have to know the rules of the game. I love the expression pay to play, right? You have to invest in understanding the rules of the game so that you can loophole them. And that's the other expression that I love, right? You have to first learn the rules of the game to play them proper before you can start breaking them like an artist. And this was such a big part of my role as tax preparer for so long. I was the queen of loopholes. It's such a big part of finally surrendering to play this game on its terms is you have to learn it well enough to show up in the ways that are needed to be in compliance, to align with the rules of this game, to then be able to do whatever you want and basically do it however you want, as long as you're checking those boxes of those basic things that we were never taught in school. That's part of what I teach my clients now to make sure that you're playing the game properly. An example of this is being aware of your income and expense dials and knowing that your actual money you're working with is the profit after you subtract your expenses from your income, and also knowing which of those expenses are legitimate write-offs so that you can also pay the least in taxes so that you get to keep more of what you make. These are all basic things that unfortunately we were not taught in school, which is nuts, but that are actually quite simple to learn so that you can get more strategic with keeping more of the abundance that you channel so that you have more marginal to work with on top of paying your bills to, again, be able to invest in the cause of your future and donate to charitable organizations or causes that feel aligned with the work that you're doing, so that what you're doing is channeling money not just for you and your reality, but is paying it forward and supporting more than just you. This is such a big part of aligning with the laws of abundance, where the universe is like, oh, send more to her, because the more we send to her, the more we are feeding causes that are bigger than her and a bigger part of the bigger picture of what really matters. And then the other part of it, as part of being a moneymaker of the Aquarian age, is knowing and learning and choosing and mastering and rolling with the constantly shifting landscape that is the tech world, right? So whether that's the social media platforms that you get your message through and meet new people, whether that is the tech tools that help you to become more efficient so that you can focus your time and energy on more of your genius zone and less on the tedium that tech can do for you, whether that's embracing the field of AI and those tools that are available for us, and on top of embracing those tools in terms of how they'll help you in your own workflow, also, again, staying connected with the future that this is opening and initiating and unfolding for all of us. Part of being in this game is not just being in the clouds, right? It's having your feet on the floor and being integrated with and connected with this actual world, like the game board that we're playing in. So that expression, in this world but not of this world, it's really both. Like, no, you're not of this world. You are a cosmic starseed being, but are you in this world? Absolutely. And if you want to be connected with your channel of abundance, you need to be just as invested in yourself as you are invested with the cosmic forces that animate and inspire you, as that you are just invested with this world that for so many people that come to me, that's the part they like to avoid. So while I love to support people with and have so much fun geeking out on people's astrology charts, some of the biggest impacts that I make through my work and the way that I support my clients is in helping them to ground themselves, in helping them to embrace the money and tech spheres that they would otherwise get into avoidance with. Which, by the way, if you don't yet know your money attachment style, which borrows from attachment theory and will show you if currently you are anxious, avoidant, disorganized, or secure, go take my free quiz, cosmicbee.link/quiz, and find out, because this is such a powerful way to understand where you're positioned right now so you can better find your way to secure attachment with money, which then manifests and materializes as financial security and is such a big part of all of this. I will say that most of the people that take this quiz have an avoidant attachment style when it comes to their relationship with money. which again is just another way of saying that they have been much more in the flow, in their intuition, in the clouds, in the ethers, in the air, in the water, but not in the earth element of this plane, and actually getting their hands dirty, learning the rules of the game, the rules and the territory, right? I see the money as the rules and the tech as the territory. And if you don't lean into finding your way with both of those things, you are missing this third crucial component of how those unseen energies move through you to manifest into something material, because that's what money is. It's the material manifestation of those unseen energies. And so we've now made our way through unpacking all three of the realms you need to be tuned into and aware of simultaneously to be refining your alignment with, so that you can create a more reliable and secure system of success through your relationship to abundance. To recap, one, you need to be aligned with your unique design. And when it comes to specifically making money and that side of abundance that then makes so much other abundance possible, because it removes so many struggles and challenges and blocks that keep us from fully receiving and amplifying all that makes us feel abundant. I have my Cosmic Cash Code sessions where we look at the 5 codes in your birth chart based on your birth moment, the moment that you took your first breath, and so that energetic matrix that was infused within you. It's a week-long session. There's lots of time for integration. It's so fun. Let me know if that's something you would like more information on, or you can check out cosmicb.link/cashcodes. Number 2 is to stay aware of the shifting cosmic weather and how that shifting landscape creates new opportunity and challenge for you to be aware of and to learn to ride and move through more gracefully. You can subscribe to my email list at cosmicb.link/current, where I keep you apprised of those planetary ingresses, help you understand what those mean for you as a business owner and a creator of the Aquarian age, and also support you in setting your monthly lunar intentions by providing them to me so that I can then remind you of them 6 months later when they've come full spiral. That's a topic for another time. And then lastly, number 3, that grounded, often avoided element of embracing the money rules and the tech sphere that we are playing this game inside of. If that is something you would like some more support with, reach out to me personally. You can DM me on Instagram at Lauren Poppins Ray, and let's get the conversation started to find out where the gaps are for you in that and how I might be able to support you. This topic is so near and dear to my heart and is what makes up the fabric of the umbrella of the work that I do through Cosmic Biz Witch. I love to support people in connecting that full circuit between what's out there, up there that we can feel but can't see or touch, how it moves through us and what our unique orientation is to the dance with it, and then how we ground that into a living, breathing, thriving business that continues to nurture us financially so that we have what we need to pay all of the bills of our current lifestyle and to be able to reach and stretch into the desires and the visions that we have for the future timelines that we're calling in through our commitment to do this work. And I'm here to help you in any way that I can.